I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to episode 143 of Dark and Stormy Book Club. And this week we are going to report on some holiday-themed cozies.
Well, first up, Murder at an Irish Christmas. It's number 6 in the Irish Village Mystery Series by Carlene O'Connor. This was published by Kensington and came out October 27th. In this cozy mystery series, the heroine, Siobhan O'Sullivan, is not an elderly busybody, nor is she a local tea shop owner who solves mysteries the cops just can't figure out. Siobhan is actually an Irish Garda, which is the Irish term for a police officer. However, Siobhan is spending the Christmas holiday out of town in West Cork with the family of Elise Elliott, who is her brother James' fiancé. She has promised all of her siblings, whom she has raised since her parents' untimely death, that she is taking a true holiday and spending all her time with them enjoying the season. The highlight of which is a Christmas Eve concert led by famous conductor Enda Elliott, who is Elise's grandfather. Unfortunately, just after she and her brood have arrived, Enda is found dead under a 90-pound harp at the concert venue. Since she's out of her jurisdiction, she's determined to fulfill her promise to her family and let the local Gardas investigate the death. Siobhan is staying with the family, however, and can't help but hear their stories, and she happens to run across clues that determine that Enda was murdered. This murder mystery does not lack for suspects. Enda Elliott was cantankerous and exacting, with a large extended family, including an ex-wife, a much younger third wife, children, and grandchildren, all of whom could have had a motive for murder. The whole village, including the local Garda investigating the crime, are solely focused on one very unliked villager. Being an outsider, Siobhan is not so quick to cast suspicion in his direction, however, and is determined to find out the truth. When her fiancé, Detective Sergeant Flannery, arrives, he is put in charge of the investigation through a string of unlikely events. Siobhan is now officially part of the investigation and follows the leads to the least suspected culprit. Siobhan and her siblings all have their own distinct personality, and I enjoyed getting to know these characters in the series. With the dialogue written in Irish brogue, it's easy to imagine yourself right in the middle of a small Irish village. This was a pleasant read with a well-crafted plot and likable, engaging characters. Carlene spun a tale that makes the idea of Christmas spent in Ireland very appealing, just without the murder involved.
Now, was there much about Christmas?
They went Christmas shopping. They had a plan to exchange gifts with all these people. Now, mind you, her family really know the other family. They were just getting to know them. This family they were marrying into was very musical. Elise, who is her brother's fiancée, seems kind of like a control freak kind of person.
Okay.
Because you must exchange gifts and they must be musically oriented. Siobhan and her family are like, we don't know anything about music. You are professional musicians. What could we possibly buy for someone that's going to be appropriate? There was some tension. I thought that Carlene threw in some real life.
She has all of her mysteries are based around Siobhan and her family. I've read a couple of them. A whole bunch of brothers and sisters.
I think she was one of 6.
Yeah.
There are 6 other siblings.
Kind of interesting that it's a different series, but it's the same family.
Yeah.
I haven't had the pleasure.
They give you a little peek into Irish peasantry, not the upper class. They're just ordinary people. It's a good series. Enjoyed the ones I've read.
Well, Carlene O'Connor comes from a long line of Irish storytellers. Her great-grandmother emigrated from Ireland to America, filled with tales and the stories that have been flowing ever since. All of the places across the pond she's wandered, she fell most in love with a walled town in County Limerick and was inspired to create the town of Kilbane, County Cork. Carlene currently divides her time between New York and the Emerald Isle. Well, maybe not currently.
She's there. She has to stay there.
One or the other. And her website is carleneoconnor.net.
Very good. Ireland is definitely on my bucket list, so I like to read those. A lot of these Irish writers, they are very visual, so it gives you a good...
I loved Ireland when we were there. I would go back in a heartbeat and get lost. Oh.
The funny thing about Ireland and Scotland, and I'm sure you have already experienced this, Ian, is that they are speaking English and you cannot understand a word they're saying.
Oh, go to Wales. You think the Irish and the Scottish, Welsh is... Ugh.
Well, I guess I'll go next.
Okay.
I am going to be doing Donna Andrews, The Gift of the Magpie, which I love that play on words. I think that's great. Her books always have a bird-type theme. This is number 28 in the Meg Langslow mystery series. It came out on October 20th. And it's put out by Minotaur Books. I had never read any of Donna Andrews, and apparently she has 2 different series. The cover really reached out to me. It was 3 little birds dressed up like the 3 wise men. Aww. I was like, okay, let's do this. Well, I had to learn a little bit about Meg. Meg Langslow is the protagonist. She is definitely an interesting main character of a book. She is a blacksmith. But here's the thing. I didn't know that from reading this book. I had to go look it up. Since this is the 28th in the series, she wasn't doing any blacksmith in this book. She's married and she has 12-year-old twin boys. She's a busy lady. She's very involved with her church. She lives in, I think this is a fictitious town, Carfilly, Virginia. One of the things she does for the church is Helping Hands for the Holiday Project, which it's actually kind of a neat idea. I would love to find out if any towns around here have anything like this. What it basically is, they handle projects that people either can't afford to do or just aren't physically able to do it. And these can be anything, like they finished a woman's quilt for her. She was having trouble finishing this quilt. They spread manure over a garden. You know, it was just little projects that they were helping people do.
They do have those programs. I've seen about different neighborhoods.
I just think that's really a neat idea. Well, one of the recipients of the Helping Hands was Harvey the Hoarder. Harvey had an older house. It was filled to the brim with his treasures. And
need more room.
The organization was helping him declutter his house. Rumors started to swirl that there were treasures hidden beneath the junk. Kind of nasty cousins started showing up and offering their assistance. Well, Meg goes to the house to help one day, and Harvey didn't answer the door. So she starts looking around while she finds him in a pool of blood in his garage. This is like a week before Christmas. She has a house full of people. This book kind of reminded me of the Christmas movie, Christmas Vacation. Every room in her house is filled with cousins and aunts and uncles. I mean, there's all kinds of hijinks going on. And then there's a Christmas concert that they all need to get to. So they're juggling all these people. But like in the movie Christmas Vacation, the love of family rings true. And these people really love each other and take care of each other. So she's trying to juggle all these family members, the Christmas concert, solving this murder. It's just crazy. But in the middle of all this hubbub, she is trying to help her grandfather locate his missing magpies.
They're in Harry the Hoarder's house under the pile of junk.
He may be. Well, the magpies start to bring little trinkets, as apparently magpies do. I don't know a lot about magpies, but apparently they like to gift things to people.
Well,
so,
they like shiny things.
Yeah.
Yes,
So all of a sudden, these pieces of jewelry and little trinkets start showing up. Are one of those a clue? You'd have to read it to find out. And another thing that made me think of Christmas Vacation is Meg has 2 dogs. They're big dogs. One's named Tinkerbell, and the other one's Spike. Tinkerbell and Spike.
Spike's probably a little thing.
No, they're both big guard dog type thing. I will tell you this. I won't give away the ending of the story, but Spike and Tinkerbell apprehend the culprit in the end. There was a lot of chasing and nipping going on. The one thing I do have to say that I got from reading this book is even though cozies are lighthearted, I really like the way that Donna handled the real dilemma that people suffer with hoarding. It was never made fun of. It was never made light of. They handled it with compassion when it came to Harvey. They were very understanding and people were there to help. So I thought that that was handled very well. Once again, I had never read this series. Being number 28 in the series, I was a little lost. Some of the people I didn't know. Have you ever read?
A few. I haven't read
all
28, but I've read a few of her books. They're well done.
Yeah, it wasn't dumbed down. I never felt that Meg was in a situation that, she invited herself into some trouble, but it wasn't far-fetched. Like, you could see how she didn't all of a sudden break into somebody's house or, When I asked you about the holiday part of the story, there was a lot of that in this. Her husband, the man that Meg is married to, is an ex-TV actor. He was on a cult hit sci-fi show, which I think more like a Star Trek. So he teaches acting at the local college. And he was actually in the process of putting on a one-man Christmas Carol show. So there was a lot of holiday stuff mentioned in this book. It made me kind of yearn for the holidays. And it was like a feel-good book, even though it's a murder mystery. So I definitely recommend Donna Andrews, and I don't know if I'll have time to go back and read all 28 books. I would definitely look forward to, because apparently she puts out a holiday one every Christmas. I will definitely be looking forward to that next year. And her next one in this series is due in August of 2021. Donna's website is donnaandrews.com. Very easy. And she considers herself a self-professed nerd, never far from her computer unless she happens to be working in the garden.
When we met Donna at Malice Domestic last year, she was sitting in the middle of a group of people and she was telling stories.
She was holding court.
Yes, yes, she was.
This just seems to be a natural thing for her to do, is tell stories.
Well, when we said we were going to read Christmas, I found the Christmassiest book. Okay. And it is called, it's by Kensington Press. It's called A Christmas Carol Murder. And it is number 3 in Heather Redmond's Charles Dickens series. The first one was A Tale of Two Murders.
You reported on that.
I reported on that one. And the second book was Grave Expectations. And they were very well done. So I decided to do this one as my homage to Christmas. And it's 1835, and Charles Dickens is working for the editor of the local paper, who is the father of his fiancée. Well, in the beginning of this story, the first thing that happens is a woman knocks on the door. When Charles answers it, she hands him a baby and says, "This is my nephew. He's your baby." Charles goes, "Uh-oh, not mine." But she said yes, and she takes off and leaves him with this little baby. His best friend and his wife had just lost a baby. So he takes the baby to them and asks them to take care of it, but don't let Kate know because, boom, everything will fall apart.
Was that true to life?
No, I don't think so.
You don't know.
This is all part of the story. Well, he and Kate and all their friends go out Christmas caroling, which is what people used to do. And they're walking around and they're singing away when all of a sudden a body comes plummeting out of upstairs window. It's all wrapped in chains, and he's hanging there.
Just like Marley.
Wait. And his name is Jacob Harley.
Oh!
Well, they knock on the door of the house. There's a body. Well, the man who owns the house is named...
Oh, no.
Ebenezer.
No.
No.
Emmanuel Scrooge.